Now, by the end of today's video, you are going to have your very own expert advisor or trading robot that will be able to trade multiple assets or currency pairs at any given time. Now, this is for the trader that has some experience in coding their own EAs. However, if you don't have that experience, it doesn't matter because you should still be able to follow along in this video. If you do want to catch up and if you are a beginner, then I do have some other videos on my channel for you to go watch when you like. Now, EAs are very useful when it comes to testing trading strategies, and we're going to take that to the next level when creating a multi-symbol trading expert advisor. What's really good about these multi-symbol EAs is that you are going to be able to test trading strategies on multiple currency pairs a lot easier. They're going to simulate a portfolio of assets, which is exactly how you would be trading if you were trading in the live markets. Now, with that being said, everyone that's an algo trader that uses expert advisors for Forex in this example is going to need an expert advisor like this. Now, to keep this video as short as possible, I'm going to be very straight to the point and I'm going to keep things short, sharp, and sweet. However, if you do get stuck at any time, you're welcome to, of course, pause the video, rewind the video, or check back in whenever you want. So that way you can follow along and take things at the pace that you're most comfortable with. Now, just a pro tip, when we do go into the coding of this video, I do recommend following the line or the row where we are making updates on. So that way you can follow along and not get lost. Now, finally, when I started trading multi-symbol expert advisors, I stumbled across them through DarwinX. And I would like to say a big thank you to DarwinX for actually shedding some light on this type of methodology. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check them out because there is a lot of very useful resources for you to go see. There'll also be links in the description to my GitHub, which will actually have the source code for this and template files. So that way, if you do want to check your work, you can check it with what I've done. That is going to be in the GitHub. Lastly, if you have any questions, feel free to join the Discord, which is linked in the description, or you can also ask your questions here on YouTube. And you already know, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot. So with all that being said, I hope you're excited. I do hope you get some value out of this. And so let's start coding this expert advisor. So with MetaTrader open, we're going to create our expert advisor. We're going to click on new expert advisor from template. We're going to name our expert advisor multi-symbol EA template. We're going to hit next, next, and finish. And that creates our expert advisor template. With our expert advisor created, we're going to commence stage 1 of our multi-symbol EA, and that is going to be creating a for loop which will serve as the foundation for multi-symbol functionality. Now, we're firstly going to start off by sectioning our code into key sections to keep things neat and tidy. That is going to be sections for our expert advisor setup, initialization, deinitialization, on-tick functions, and a location for custom functions. First thing I'm going to do is add in some commentary at the top, and I'm going to replace some of the existing fields like so. I'm going to create a new section called expert setup just under. We've got our expert initialization function, which is the onInt function. We've got our onDeinit function, and we've got our onTick function already set up. And to finish off the sections within the expert advisor, I'm going to put in a expert custom function. Next, we can start populating our expert advisor with some standard global variables and functions, which are commonly used for most EAs. So at the top, what we're going to do is put in some initial expert advisor setup functions. We're going to use the include function to take data from the trade.mqh file. We're then creating a pointer to ctrade, and that's going to allow us to take our trades. Lastly, we're going to put in a magic number for our expert advisor. Now with those fields set up, we're going to go into our onInit function, and we're going to declare the magic number for all of our trades by using the following, and that's going to ensure that all the trades that are taken for this expert advisor are mapped to our magic number. Now with our basic template set up, we can code in functionality so that the user can select whether they want single symbol functionality or multi-symbol functionality. The first thing we're going to do is set up our multi-symbol variables, and that is going to be done in the expert setup section. We're going to create an enum called multi-symbol, which is going to be an input function that allows us to select the functionality of our expert advisor, whether we just want to trade the current symbol or whether we want to trade all symbols that is within our expert advisor. Now for those all symbols within our expert advisor, we're going to use 28 currency pairs, and they are going to be coded in like so. And the way the expert advisor is going to read which currency pair to look at is through this pipe symbol in the middle, which delimits every currency pair. Now to finish off the expert setup, we want to add in the following number of tradable symbols, which is going to count how many symbols we are trading. And we're going to create this symbol array. Now from here, we want to go down to the onInit function, and this is where we're going to set up our multi-symbol expert advisor. The first thing we want to do is put in an if statement, and that's going to check whether the input that we made before is on current symbol, and if it's on current, then we're only trading the current symbol that is on the expert advisor. Else we're going to go into multi-symbol functionality, which is going to trade all 28 currency pairs. For current symbol, number of tradable symbols equals 1. We're going to resize the symbol array that we declared earlier to the number of tradable symbols, which in this instance equals 1. The symbol array for position 0 will quite simply equal the symbol, and we're going to add in a print function to let the user know that it was successful. Now finally, if we are using multi-symbol functionality, we want to let the expert advisor know that the number of tradable symbols is equal to all 28 currency pairs that we have declared under all tradable symbols, and again that's delimited by this pipe symbol. We're going to resize the symbol array by the number of tradable symbols, which in this instance is 28. And again, we're going to let the user know that the number of tradable symbols is as follows using this print statement. Now with our variables set up, what we can do is actually create a for loop within the onTick function so that every time a tick is received, this for loop runs for every currency pair that is being traded. What's good is that this for loop will still run and still function properly, even if the user will select current symbol trading for single symbol functionality, or if all tradable symbols is being used for multi-symbol functionality, the for loop will run through all the currency pairs. Again, in this instance, it's 28 currency pairs. So let's go code that one up. And this is going to be the for loop that runs our multi-symbol functionality. And that is going to run until the symbol loop has reached the maximum number of tradable symbols, which is 28 in this instance. From here, we can add functionality, such as the following, which will store the current symbol for each position within the symbol array. Now, congratulations. If you're able to get that to work, then you have successfully completed the foundation of multi-symbol functionality so that every time a tick is received, the for loop is going to run through all 28 currency pairs if you're using multi-symbol functionality to check whether trades are available. Now, that of course leads us on into stage 2 of our multi-symbol EA, and that is going to be finalizing our template for our expert advisor. Now, I do want to mention that we are going to be utilizing arrays within MT5 a lot more because these arrays are what allow us to actually use multi-symbol functionality within this expert advisor. Now, I'm not going to actually go into detail to explain what arrays are. I will, however, leave a link in the notes below so that way, if you do want to learn a little bit more about them, you can read them up on the MQL5 website. So with that being said, let's go start off our second stage and complete this template. Now back in the expert setup area, we are going to add in the following. And this is going to be an array that is going to store our symbol metrics for each symbol of our expert advisor. Now from here, we're going to go into the onInit function, and we're going to create our first custom function that is going to be called resize core arrays. So in our custom functions area, we're going to add our function, and we're going to resize the symbols metric array that we just created by the number of tradable symbols. Now with this setup, we are going to be able to store information within our expert advisor for each symbol, which is going to be very valuable. So we're going to go back up to the expert setup area. We're going to add in another core array, which is going to be the following, ticks process, and this is going to process the amount of ticks for each symbol that is processed. We're going to also set up some additional expert variables, which is going to be an expert comment section and ticks received. Now again, because we created this new array, we're going to have to resize the array in our custom function called resize core array, which looks very similar to the previous. And now with some of our core arrays set up within our expert advisor, which are resized to the number of tradable symbols, we can actually use the for loop within our onTick function to actually get some symbol metrics, which are going to be important moving forward. So the first thing we want to do after the onTick function runs is actually do the following, and that is to reset the expert comment, and we want to add ticks received. Now within our multi-symbol EA loop function, we want to add the following, ticks processed, and that is going to be ticks processed for our symbol loop that is currently being processed. And now what we can do is store some variables in our symbol metrics array, such as current symbol, as well as the ticks processed for the particular symbol. And so finally, every time the symbol loop runs, what we want to do is concatenate the symbol metrics so that it can be stored on our expert advisor. And what we do is add the following. Now, after our symbol loop has ran and at the end of our onInit function, what we want to do is actually send all the information that we've been collected into a comment for our expert advisor. And we do that by doing the following. What we want to do is comment the expert advisor magic number, followed by the MT5 server time, and then the ticks received by the expert advisor, a final comment called symbols traded, and then finally our experts comment. And then we close the comment. And that is it. If you've gotten this far, then you have successfully completed stage 2 of our EA and completed our very first template for multi-symbol EA functionality. What this template will do is actually allow users to select single or multi-symbol functionality. It will resize all core arrays within the EA to the number of tradable symbols, and it will actually have a comment call out for the user to actually read out for each symbol metrics that are going to be very important moving forward. This is actually enough for us to test out this template. So let's go into MetaQuotes and actually test out this expert advisor. So here we're in MetaTrader 5 and we're going to test our expert advisor. Again, I want to mention that all the symbols that we have put into our expert advisor has to be within the market watch area. So if you haven't added them in yet, please make sure you do so. Now you want to make sure that your expert advisor has been selected and the symbol that you want to use it on is going to be the symbol that you want to test if you're just using one symbol, or you can put it on any other symbol because the expert advisor is going to work for all of the symbols that have been coded within the expert advisor. In our case, it's 28 currency pairs. One thing to note is that the expert advisor is going to run every time a tick is received on the symbol that you have selected. So it's best to select a symbol that is going to receive a lot of ticks. As such, I've selected Euro USD. We want to make sure that optimization is disabled and we want to use visualization so that we can demonstrate the functionality of our expert advisor. Now, first and foremost, what I want to show you is the input functions. We can see here that the unique identifier or the magic number is selected and we've got here as value number 1, and our input multi-symbol is set to current, where we can select this and we can select either current to test only the symbol that we have selected, or we can test all symbols that is within our expert advisor. To start off with, I'm going to select current and I'm going to press start. Here we can see our expert advisor is currently functioning, and what I want to show you is the comment area over here. We can see that the comment is showing expert number 1, which is our magic number 1. We can see the MT5 server time, and we can see the ticks that are being received. Now these ticks that are being received is every time a tick is received on the current symbol that we are looking at, and in this instance it is symbol traded Euro USD, and the ticks being processed is currently the same as the ticks being received. Now this is going to vary depending on the conditions that you set for a tick to be processed. For example, only processing candle opens and close, which is what we're going to do shortly. Now this is what it looks like for a single currency pair. If I go back to the inputs and if I select all and start the EA, you'll see exactly how the expert advisor is now functioning. You can see here that everything is operating very similar to before. However, we have got now 28 different currency pairs that is being traded at once, thanks to the array functionality within MT5. Now, hopefully you got some positive results when testing your expert advisor. If there was anything that didn't look quite right, then feel free to rewind the video and see where there might have been some discrepancies. If everything did look right, well, congratulations, you successfully created your very first multi-symbol expert advisor, which is a huge achievement. And I hope through testing the expert advisor, you can definitely see how this type of multi-symbol EA functionality is going to really transform how you trade and test trading strategies. Now this of course leads us on to our third stage of our multi-symbol EA, and that is of course adding in some trading conditions. And that is going to include trading conditions which are going to mainly derive from indicators. Now before we get into the indicators, the first thing we want to do is set up conditions so that we're trading candle opens only. The theory is that we want to wait for candle close confirmation before we actually jump into a trade. Because I'm sure, as you're aware, by using the on-tick functionality within our expert advisor, the on-tick function will trigger every time a tick is received and not necessarily when a candle is open. So we need to add in some additional conditions to make that happen. So to set that up, the first thing we are going to do is actually have to store when the last tick is processed for each currency pair. So we're going to add in a new array within our expert core arrays section. And every time we put in a new array, we have to resize the array. And I'm just going to clean up the code here. So with that done, we can now go into the onTick function and set up the conditions so that way we can check whether a new candle is received for each of our currency pairs. So that means we have to go to our multi-symbol loop function, and just before a tick is processed for our Expert Advisor, we want to set up some conditions. So the first thing we're going to do is just set up a new variable, and now we can put in some conditions. And so every time the onTick function runs, the condition is going to check whether a new candle is opened by looking at the time the candle was opened using the iTime function. If the case above is true, that means that we do have a new candle, and we are going to store the time the candle was opened in our new time last tick processed array by doing the following. From here, we can set up a simple if statement. If is new candle equals true, then we want to process the trade. And that is going to run for everything that I've just highlighted as shown. We're going to indent this by pressing tab, and we're going to close the if statement we just created over here. I'm going to clean this up a bit, and now that's looking good. And now finally, at our symbols metrics array, we can now add in the last time ticks process within our symbols metric. Now with that being done, even though our Expert Advisor triggers every time a tick is received, we've added in conditions so that trades are only taken when a new candle is open. So with that coded up, let's just do a test to make sure everything is running as it should. And now here we can see within our Expert Advisor, we are receiving ticks for our Expert Advisor, but notice that our ticks process isn't going up. The only time the ticks process will go up is when a new candle is received. Now our Expert Advisor is actually looking pretty good to now start coding in indicators within our multi-symbol Expert Advisor. Now coding in multi-symbol Expert Advisor indicators are not too dissimilar to how you would do it in a single symbol EA. However, of course, there's some minor differences. The first thing we need to consider is utilizing, again, arrays to be able to capture all the handles but for all the different currency pairs that we are trading. Because, of course, signals are going to be different on different currency pairs, we need to make sure that our arrays and our multi-symbol Expert Advisor captures all of that information so that way we're taking the right trades. Now, there's a bit of a step-by-step process when including indicators within multi-symbol EAs. The first thing we're going to do is, of course, declare global variables. One specific one is a handle for the EA, but the handle is going to be an array, and that array has to be resized to the number of tradable symbols. We then set up this indicator handle in the onInit function for the indicator, but for all 28 currency pairs, which is stored within this array. We also include a handle release in the onDinit function when the Expert Advisor is turned off. And then finally, we can actually, in the onTick function, utilize the handle so that way we can get trading signals from our Expert Advisor and then store that within symbol metrics. Now, there was quite a bit there. However, when we start coding it up, everything should make a little bit more sense. So in our expert setup section, we're going to add in the following variables for our MACD. So since we've created a new array handle for our MACD, we're going to have to resize this handle. So in our onInit function, we're going to create another custom function, which is called resize indicator arrays. Now this is going to do the exact same thing as what the resize core arrays does. However, in this particular Expert Advisor, I have separated those two out. So now we're going to create the custom function to resize the indicator arrays. And so in our customs function area, we're going to add in the resize indicator arrays function, and then we're going to add in the array resize for the MACD, which is resizing the array based on, again, the number of tradable symbols. So with our MACD handle array set up, we can actually set up the handle itself. So back in our onInit function, we're going to add in another custom function, which is called MACD handle for multi-symbol EA. And what I want to do within the onInit function for this particular case is actually add in a if statement. If the handle is not set up by using this exclamation mark, it will actually return init failed, and then that will stop the initialization and stop the Expert Advisor. And now with this, we'll go to our customs function area to actually set up the MACD handle. And this is going to return a Boolean. And what we want to do for the handle setup is actually put in our symbol loop for our Expert Advisor. That's going to populate the handle for each of the symbols that we are trading for the MACD handle. We're going to populate this by first resetting any errors, assign the MACD handle for the particular symbol with the iMACD function. Now, of course, if you're using a different indicator, this is where you'll populate your particular indicator's function, or you could use iCustom. Now from here we can put in some error handling. We add in a string output message. If the error comes back as 4302, then that means that the symbol needs to be added to the market watch, else we'll print the error code. We'll send a message if there is an error to the user and we'll return false. However, if all goes well, then we print off that the handle was successfully created for all symbols and we return true. Now our MACD handle is set up, which takes into account all tradable symbols within our multi-symbol EA. What's good is to actually release those handles on the onDinit function within our multi-symbol expert advisor. So we go to the onDinit area and we'll add in the following custom function. And of course, we have to create that custom function. And I'm going to squeeze this in between the indicator array resize and the MACD handle. Now we're going to want to release all the indicator handles from each symbol. So we have to use our for loop. And we're simply going to indicator release for the MACD handle for the specific symbol. And finally, we are going to print handle released. Now we're actually at a point where we can start coding up some indicator conditions within our multi-symbol EA. Now every time a tick is received, we want the onTick function to run and we want to only look for trades when a new candle is open. Now within here, this is where we're going to put in a custom function, and that custom function is going to actually find what the indicator is telling us. In this case, it's the MACD trigger. So whether the MACD has a bullish crossover or a bearish crossover, that is what we're going to do, and we're going to create a custom function to do that. So what we want to do when a new candle opens, after the ticks process is done, we want to add in our first trigger, which is called indicator signals 1, and that is going to be a custom function which will get the MACD signal opening, and that is going to pass through the symbol loop for the particular symbol that we are looking at this time the expert advisor runs. So now we're going to go into the customs function area and create our custom function. Now this will vary for the particular indicator that you are using, however the setup will be very similar. We're going to add in the variables for the particular indicator, including the buffer arrays. We're going to fill the buffers for the particular indicator from the information which is being captured from the MACD handle and then store them using the copy buffer functions. And we're going to add in some error handling down the bottom. Now the MACD is going to be a 2 lines cross indicator. So whenever there is a crossover of the indicator lines, we are going to want to capture that. So that means we're going to capture the current MACD, the current signal line, the prior MACD, and then the prior signal line. And we're going to use the normalized double to round that information to 10 decimals. Now that's all the information we need for us to get trading signals. So we're going to put in an if statement, which tells us if there is a bullish crossover, we are going to take a long trade, as well as if the crossover occurs below the MACD 0 line, then that is going to be another condition where we're going to take long signals. We're going to do the opposite for short trades. If there is a bearish crossover, then we are going to take short signals, as well as if the crossover occurs above the 0 line, then that is going to be an indication to go short. And finally, if all those conditions return false, then there's going to be no trade. Now with our MACD trigger indicator custom function coded, every time the custom function runs, it is going to return whether the MACD is telling us to take a long trade, a short trade, or whether there's no trades to be taken. Now this is going to be very useful because we can actually display this information using the comment function from our symbol metrics to tell the user what the trading signal is actually saying for each of the symbols being traded for our multi-symbol EA. So let's go have a look at how that is done. So to recap, this get MACD signal open function is going to return what the MACD trade signal is showing, and that is going to store it in indicator signal number 1. What we can do is then within our symbols metric array, we can add in that condition for the user to see what the signal is actually showing. And now we can actually compile this expert advisor and test this within MetaQuotes. Now back in MetaTrader, we can see that the input variables for the MACD are shown as below. So this gives the user the opportunity to either change the MACD conditions or perform an optimization on the MACD conditions. We're not going to change anything just yet. What we're going to do is test the expert. So here we can see the expert advisor operating as it should. We have now in the comments section, we've got indicator 1 that is showing no trades, and that's because our MACD has not had a trigger point. Here is an example where we've had a long crossover for our MACD indicator where there was a bullish crossover of the MACD and the signal line, and the crossover occurred below the 0 line. So based off these conditions, we are showing a long signal. Now back in MetaTrader's input area, we can change the Expert Advisor to perform a multi-symbol analysis by selecting all. Here we can see that the Expert Advisor now operates on all 28 currency pairs, and we can see here that the MACD is getting various signals from each of the different currency pairs. Now I encourage you to confirm that the Expert Advisor is performing as it should by checking that the signals that you are receiving for each currency pair is accurate. Now with our EA set up with our very first trigger indicator being the MACD, we can set up a filter indicator, which is going to be an exponential moving average for this example. Now the beauty of this is that this is going to be done in a very similar fashion to how we set up the first one. So let's code one up. So in our expert setup area, we're going to be adding in the exponential moving average as indicator signal number 2. We're going to resize the EMA array. In our onInit function, we're going to set up the handles for our multi-symbol Expert Advisor for the EMA indicator, and we're creating a custom function called EMA handle multi-symbol, and we are putting an AND statement for our if statement here to run. We then create this function in our customs function area, and we're going to release the EMA handle in our release indicator arrays function. In our customs function area, we are going to add in all the conditions that we require for the EMA handle, and that is for multi-symbol functionality, of course, using our for loop. With our EMA set up for all symbols being traded, we can actually now create a custom function that will return whether we should be looking for long trades or short trades for our EMA filter, and that of course gets returned every time the onTick function runs, only when a new candle is opened. We can get EMA signals in our onTick function, and we're going to add in indicator signal 2, and that is going to get EMA open signals. Now we are going to create this new custom function, get EMA open signals. In this custom function, we're going to pass all the required variables, which is as such. We're going to copy all the information from the EMA handle into buffer EMA by using the copy buffer function and add in some error handling. We're then going to get the current EMA value from the buffer and normalize it. For this particular indicator, we are going to have to get the current close of the candle because we want to test whether price is above or below the EMA. And now with all this information, we can then return the conditions for long and short trades. If the current close is greater than the current EMA, then we're going long. Else, if the current close is less than the current EMA, we're going short. Else there is no trade. Now, similar to what we've done before, we can add in the indicator signal and send that through to the comment section for the user to see. Now that we have both indicators set up within our Expert Advisor and that is being displayed in our symbol metrics comment, we can compile this and test this within MetaQuotes. We can see now that the Expert Advisor is showing us that for indicator number 2, we are looking for long trades, and that is of course from the 50 exponential moving average, which is now being added into our Expert Advisor. We can see here that price is above the EMA, so it's showing long signals. However, we are not taking trades until there is a crossover of the MACD, where there should be one coming up very shortly. And this is when we would take a trade. Now that we've tested single symbol functionality within our Expert Advisor, I do recommend everyone going and testing multi-symbol functionality before proceeding to the next stage. What you want to be looking out for is making sure our indicators are actually sending back the correct signals for the symbol being traded. And if you're using 28 currency pairs, I do recommend everyone to make sure that for all 28 currency pairs that it is displaying the right signals. Now, assuming that everything to this point is operating as it should for your Expert Advisor, then congratulations, you have successfully completed stage 3 of our multi-symbol EA, which leads us on to stage 4, which is our final stage, and that is going to actually have our Expert Advisor take trades for us. Now, these trades are going to be done based off the conditions we put within our Expert Advisor, but of course for all tradable symbols within the EA. And that means by the end of this stage and the end of this tutorial, you're going to have a multi-symbol Expert Advisor that takes trades, sets stop losses, and take profits based on the conditions from our indicators. So I hope you're excited to finish this off as I am. So let's start coding up our conditions. Now, for this particular case, we have got all of our indicators for our multi-symbol expert advisor. What we can finally do is actually set up those conditions and submit orders so our expert advisor can take the trades for us. So after the indicator signals are received, we'll add in the following if statement. Now, by using an if statement, we can check whether indicator 1 and indicator 2 are showing long conditions. If they're both showing long conditions, then we want to process trades for the current symbol at the symbol loop, and we want to submit order type by. Else, if indicator 1 and indicator 2 are showing short signals, then we want to send to the same custom function, process trades open, the current symbol, the symbol loop, and then of course order type sell. Now with the code set up in the onTick function, we can now create a custom function that is going to be able to process our trades. So we're going to create our last custom function, which is called process trades open. We're going to put in some variables, and notice here that this is going to be static, take profit, and stop losses. In future videos, we're going to expand on money management techniques and expand on what we have currently. So that's to come at a later video. Now with that set up, if the order type equals order type by, then price is going to be taken from the ask price. The stop loss price is going to be calculated as follows: price minus stop loss size. And then the take profit price is going to be price plus the take profit. Else, if order type equals order type sell, then price is taken from the bid. The stop loss price is taken from price plus the stop loss size. And take profit price is calculated from price minus take profit size. We're going to add in an arbitrary lot size, which is just 0.01 lots. Again, this will be further optimized in later videos. We're then going to use the trade pointer to close any current trades on the current symbol. We're then going to set the expert's magic number, and then we're going to use the trades position open function to get the expert advisor to take trades for us. We're going to finally add in a print statement that the trade was successful for the current symbol, the order type, and the lot size, and then we're going to return true. Now with everything coded up and compiled successfully, that actually concludes the coding portion of this tutorial. Now, of course, we're going to have to test this in MetaQuotes to make sure everything is working. So let's go have a look and let's see whether our multi-symbol EA takes trades for us. We can see here that the expert advisor has submitted a trade. We can see here that 0.01 lots has been entered when the conditions were met. We had a bullish crossover which occurred over here, and it looks like price just closed above the exponential moving average, so we did take a long trade. We're going to now test this on multi-symbol EA functionality, and here we can see with the multi-symbol functionality there is a lot of trades happening in this expert advisor. So we can see here that the expert advisor is now trading all 28 currency pairs, and it is also taking trades based off the conditions we set the expert advisor, which of course is based off the indicators that we are using. In this particular case, we are using the MACD and the exponential moving average. Now we of course can run backtests for our expert advisor using multi-symbol functionality, and this is going to definitely streamline the process and be more aligned to how we would trade the expert advisor in real markets when using multi-symbol functionality. Now again, there's still plenty to do in terms of selecting the right indicators, adding money management techniques. However, what we have done is the bare bones of creating a multi-symbol expert advisor. And if you've made it this far and able to do the following, then huge congratulations to you, because I consider this as being a huge achievement and can possibly revolutionize how you trade, backtest, and optimize expert advisors and finding profitable trading strategies in MetaTrader 5. And now that does conclude today's tutorial on how to create your very own multi-symbol EA within MetaTrader 5. Now, if you have gotten this far and have successfully created your very own multi-symbol EA, then a huge congratulations to you, because I do hope that you're able to get something out of this video, and I do hope that this could change how you actually use and code up expert advisors within MetaTrader 5. I do hope you can take away a lot from this video so that way you can code up your very own multi-symbol EAs with your own conditions for your very own trading strategies. And for those that are progressing forward, I'd love to hear from you what concepts you are using from this tutorial and what concepts you might have of your own that might be able to benefit others within the community. So I'd love to hear from you in the comment section below on YouTube or even in the Discord, so that way we can all learn from each other. Now, as mentioned, there's a lot of things that we can do within MetaTrader 5 and a few more things we need to do within this very own Expert Advisor. And so there's going to be more videos on this advanced MetaTrader 5 series on YouTube, which I'm going to be able to post up in the near future. And now that wraps up today's tutorial. I do hope you got a lot out of it, and I do hope to hear from you soon. Don't forget, like, subscribe, do all those good things, and I hope to see you in the next one.